Welcome to the Essentia Health podcast series. I'm your host, Yeji Lee. In this series, we bring you helpful information to support your well-being and to overcome the many challenges that life can bring. Our aim is to bring you information to support your well-being that can be accessible to everybody. Today, our guest is Norman Weiniger, a licensed mental health professional who has worked in the mental health field for many, many years. Welcome, Norman.
Thank you, Yeji.
Norman, May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. In honor of this month, we want to discuss the importance of mental health and some tips on how we can take care of our mental health. Our mental health is a subject that has drawn a lot more attention these days, and that is a positive development. Can you explain what mental health is and why it's so important for our overall well-being and happiness?
Yes, Yeji. Mental health really refers to a person's overall psychosocial well-being. It's a way of saying that it encompasses a wide range of aspects of our mental health, such as our thoughts, our reasoning, decision making, our feelings, our behaviors, and how our feelings influence our behaviors, and as well as our relationships with other people. So, good mental health means being able to cope with the challenges of life, to maintain positive relationships, to enjoy a sense of overall well being or happiness. It also means being able to recognize and manage negative emotions, such as stress and anxiety and depression, and being able to seek support when needed. Good mental health really, Yeji, is our ally, and I say that because it helps us with life's inevitable challenges and disappointments and losses.
So people sometimes are curious about how mental health issues or mental issues develop, and if poor mental health is different than a mental illness. Can you just address these points?
Yes, that's a good question. How mental health issues develop, you and I know, Yeji, is complex and it's really unique to each person. Mental health issues can arise from a wide range of reasons. These include our genetics, our upbringing, and our early home life. A wide variety of uh, environmental factors, including poverty or discrimination, can affect our mental health, as well as our own particular unique set of life experiences. So, poor mental health and actual mental health conditions or diagnoses, as professionals would say, are not the same thing. Mental health, like physical health, exists on a continuum or a range. So, one way to think about it is that it's entirely possible for a person to have poor mental health, but not a mental health diagnosis. In other words, they're functioning in their work and personal life, but they're just not as resilient and capable, probably not as happy as they could be. On the other hand, a mental health diagnostic conditions have the potential to disrupt our everyday function. They are usually determined by specially trained professionals, Yeji, who then would prescribe treatment for the particular condition, and that treatment might consist of psychotherapy or medications, or often both.
Norman, why is prioritizing our mental health important?
Well, really prioritizing our mental health is essential um, for us to take to heart. That is because mental health affects every aspect of our lives, from our physical health and our cognitive functioning, meaning our thinking, reasoning, and decision making, to our social connections and to our relationship with our communities. When we take steps to support our mental health, research shows time and time again, Yeji, that we can live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. And after all, isn't that a goal that all of us share? So, if I may, let me dive a little deeper into why all that's important. First thing to keep in mind is that good mental health is essential for maintaining a sense of personal well being and happiness, as I alluded to earlier. When we have good mental health, we're better able to cope with the inevitable challenges of life, and challenges, as we know, are truly inevitable. It helps us to build and maintain positive relationships with other people. How important is that? And to enjoy all the things that we love. Now, it's also important to our physical health. Let's think about that for a moment. We can't really separate our mind from our bodies. Therefore, mental health and physical health are closely linked. People with good mental health are more likely to take care of their bodies and engage in healthy behaviors like exercise, eating a healthy diet. For example, longstanding depressive mood, which is depression is a common set of issues in this country. Depressive mood increases our risk for many types of physical health problems, particularly chronic ones like diabetes or possibly heart disease and stroke. On the other hand, the presence of chronic physical conditions can increase the risk of mental health conditions and diagnosis. Another point I wanted to make is around productivity. We live in a culture where our productivity is often linked to our self-esteem. So many of us feel better about ourselves when we feel we're being productive, either at work or at home. Good mental health can improve productivity both at work and in other areas of our life. When we feel good mentally, we're better able to focus on tasks, to solve problems, and to make good, thoughtful decisions. Now, another reason is building and sustaining personal resilience. Mental health is important for developing this resilience, which is the ability to bounce back from life's adversities. When we have good mental health, we're better equipped to handle stress, setbacks, and challenges. One more point. Yeji, we know that humans are highly social beings, right? So positive relationships at work with our loved ones, with our community, are very important to our well-being. Good mental health improves our social connections and our social support networks. When we feel good mentally, we are more likely to seek out and have the skills to maintain positive and healthy relationships with other people. So, Yeji, as you can see, mental health is a crucial aspect of our overall health and well-being. It affects every area of our lives. I encourage everyone to think about being intentional about valuing and taking care of our mental health. It's really essential for leading a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life.
Norman, that's all very interesting. So, what are some things that people can do to support or improve their mental health and well-being?
Well, when I think about that question, I usually think about all the things that are accessible to most of us, things that are usually free and don't require a professional's help. Many of the things that we can do to support our mental health really are simple, and we can develop practices to turn them into healthy habits. Let me name a few. One is physical exercise. Regular exercise can help boost our mood by changing our brain chemistry. It also reduces stress, improves our overall mental health. Even small amounts of physical activity, starting small, such as a short walk or even some stretching, that can be beneficial. So it's okay to give yourself permission to start small, and you can still experience the benefits in mental health from physical exercise. Another one is practicing mindfulness. That's another very accessible activity. Mindfulness is really a practice that involves focusing on the present moment and accepting things as they are without judgment. It can help us to reduce stress and anxiety and improve our overall well-being. So that's another area that people can enjoy and can look into and explore. Another area is connecting with others. I mentioned social connections are very important for mental health. Spending time with friends, family, participating in social activities can help reduce negative feelings such as loneliness, and it can actually improve our mood. Here's another one I think is very important. It's getting enough sleep. This is really a big one. Sleep is essential for good mental health. Getting enough restful sleep has been shown by researchers to improve our mood, to reduce stress, and to boost our overall well-being. In fact, there's some new research that's even shown that getting adequate levels of sleep, Yeji, leads to longer lives. A lot of benefits from it. Back to something I mentioned earlier, we're a very achievement-oriented culture where success in our careers is highly valued. Sometimes that overshadows the importance of leisure activities, which have been demonstrated to sustain our mental health, by the way. So it's important to engage in hobbies or activities that we enjoy. Doing things we enjoy can help improve our mood, reduce stress. It can be playing music, reading, gardening, painting, sports, hiking, enjoying and engaging rather in any activity that you really enjoy and brings you joy can be an excellent way to support your mental health. So think about how to make time for leisure activities. Another point I would make is managing what I call cognitive overload. You know, Yeji, our minds are like a muscle in that if we intensely work a muscle for a long period of time, it gets tired, then doesn't perform as well. Mentally, that often jobs challenge us mentally, I should say, when we have to process a lot of information and make a lot of decisions. One way to help ourselves with all of that is to take little breaks. Sometimes I call them micro breaks through the day to avoid burnout and reduce stress. Now, these can be very simple, brief things like taking a brief walk, maybe doing some breathing exercises, or simply stepping away from work or other responsibilities for a few minutes and just being present in that moment. Being present in that moment means not thinking about the next task at hand or fretting over the last task you just completed. So those are some things to keep in mind, Yeji.
That's all great information, Norman. How would you kind of sum up all of that information you just told us?
Yes, I think first we all ought to understand that we can influence and often improve our mental health. Secondly, supporting our mental health requires taking an intentional and active role in our own well-being, just like we do with our physical health. By engaging in healthy habits, building healthy habits, and seeking help from others when needed, we can improve our mental health and sustain it, and that can lead to a happier and more fulfilling life.
Thank you, Norman, for being with us. That concludes today's podcast. Thank you for listening.